here. So happy to be here. If it's 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, it's LinkedIn Live, Hour of Empower. I am so honored to be talking about the topic of value, along with the honor of being with Harvey Tuck, who is continually expanding and growing here on the Hour of Empower. And naturally, everything depends on the audience. We're here for you, hopefully give you some valuable takeaways, or just making you feel better than you were when you came here is a primary goal. So chat's open. We're here for you. With that said, Harvey, it's great to have you back. Why don't you kind of bring people a little bit up to date of where you've been and what you've done since last week?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. It's been a busy week for me. I've been in and out of London trying to catch the show. Oh, there's Lillian. Hi, Lillian. It's great to see some comments coming in. But yeah, it's been a generally busy week for me. Really, really exciting to be back and talking about value as well. It's so close to my heart, value. And, when I've been thinking about the subject of value and what it means to me, it always means to me what value I can bring to someone else. And whether that's my family, my friends, or the wonderful people here on LinkedIn, when I think of value, I think, what value can I give somebody else? And that's, I think, what I'm striving to do, is to add some value. Don, you always talk about a takeaway from the show, and I think it's such a great thing to think about. If someone just has a few takeaways from either something that's been said here, or more importantly, things that are said in the comments, because that's what's driving the show, and that's what excites me to see what people have to say. That value, it's a great subject. And it has all sorts of different meanings as well. So I'm really looking forward to getting into it.
Well, that's great, because I believe, like every word, it has so many different meanings to so many different people based on application and context. And value is something I see, again, as you lend it to collaboration and community, is forming value by combining together. Not, in other words, some people have 70% of the ingredients, somebody has 30. Now, again, you can get whole with two people and now bring them together for common benefit. I mean, yesterday's words that Clint said was mutual fascination.
It was a good word. I remember that. I wrote that one down.
and it stuck. And that was my takeaway. So everybody gets a takeaway. It's everybody wins a door prize just by going through the door. And the key is what can you create for yourself based on what you value for yourself and your world, including your family, your career, your self-image, and how much of it can you share? Because everything we're talking about here is an intangible. It's not a finite physical product. How much love can you share? Well, how many people can you meet every day and share it? And I think that's part of the value of this show, is we get to impart so much wisdom from every person here to every person here. And we focus on a word like value today. And we focus on, hey, let's get as much treasure out of this thing as we can. I mean, it's just as someone opened a pirate's chest, right? And saw all this. It's like, hey, grab whatever makes you happy. With that said, before we go too far, I've got to introduce and share everybody in the audience. You're here, and without you, there is no here. So morning. Lillian's going to be on the show, actually, with Harvey next week. That just happened last night.
Looking forward to that, Lillian.
Yeah, looking forward to it. New faces, new places, Chastity's here with a happy Friday and a sunshine, and Chastity's just a lovely person. Reach out, get to know her. You know, you have something in common already. Benitha, hopefully I pronounced it well. It's been here the last few days. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone in Nigeria. Chastity, great. Cindy, I get mixed up with Cynthia. Good morning, everyone. It's been a little bit, but always glad to see you. Moving forward, Matt's here. Hi, Harvey and Don from the UK. So glad you could make it. Christine's here. Peace, salam, shalom. All the same back to everyone. You know, it's great when you start out with a big drum roll of good mornings, happy this, great to see you. You know, because it is real and it's sincere, and people had to take that action of thought and then keystroke, and then the courage to send it, right? And the value is in the sending. You know, that's the completion, or that's when you get to sit back and wait for something to happen, or you know, that's your investment. What do you think, Harvey?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. I think you know, when you're getting involved in the comments, and you know, and you're starting, you're adding value. You're certainly adding value to me. I love the comments that come up. You know, I'm constantly looking across there because, you know, I'm getting value myself. You know, I spoke at the beginning about what do I want to do, and you know, I want to make sure I'm giving value to people and that they're getting value from me. But equally, it's fun to, you know, to get value from other people, and you know, and that's where it comes from the comments, when people are making such interesting comments. And I'm really looking forward to what value means to everybody else. You know, whether that is being valued or valuing something. You know, I do a lot of work with people that are trying to look for a new job, and I'm really passionate about it. And I think that the topic of value in the world of being an employer or an employee is so relevant. You know, I was talking, you know, you asked me kind of what I was doing recently, and I have these events where we get potential franchisees to come in, and one of them asked me how they keep their staff longer, you know, how they don't have a high staff turnover. And I said, to make sure that people feel valued. Mm-hmm. And I said, even if that's just as simple as saying, thank you, you've done a great job, you know, or being interested in them. You know, I think as an employer, it's your duty to make sure that your staff feel valued. And that's not a financial thing. That can be a really simple gesture of kindness or appreciation, you know. And I think when you're an employee, you've got to give value in what you do. You know, you've got to show your employers that you're valuable to them, you know, in what it is you do, what you're bringing to the organization. I think equally, when you lose your job, and there's lots of people, unfortunately, who are in this position where they lose their job, you know, you feel that you're not valued. You know, you have this instant feeling that, well, someone's let me go. They don't value what I do, you know, and it can affect you, you know, and you need bringing up from that. So I agree with you, Don. I think value just has lots of different meanings. You know, people think of how valuable something is. They think of a monetary thing, but it's so many levels beyond that. You know, value is what you bring to the table. Yeah, it's a multifaceted word. It's a great word to have for today. You know, you can probably see behind me that I have some books there, and it's not my prop, by the way, but they sit there behind me, and those books have value in different ways. They're very old books, and they have a monetary value, but they also have meaning and value to me as things that sit there on the wall. So I just love the fact that value has different meanings for different people. But, for me, I value my family, my friends, the wonderful people here on LinkedIn, and I want to give value to everybody. So, it sort of works both ways. I'm just having a look there. There's a few comments that have come through. It says their value, something that we work on for business. Amazing how value multiplies based on the industry. Oh, there it is. Thank you. That's make it easier to read. It's the same with people. How valued you will be based on who you're hanging out with. Yeah, absolutely. I think, you made that point that value can be increased when you build a community. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. I think that's quite a good analogy for this. Everyone forms a piece of this beautiful jigsaw puzzle, but when you put it together and it forms that great big picture, it's got some great value. So absolutely. I think you're a reflection of the people around you. If you've got, they say you can count your good friends on one hand, or they used to, but you're a combination or a reflection of those influences and those people around you. So you surround yourself with good people, that's going to enhance the value they have and the value you have as well.
That's so many good points, Harvey. And while you were talking, I was thinking the same thing. Is value is also what you provide. So many people are looking to receive value for what they do, right? I work for somebody, they pay me. I sell something, they give me the money. But the other side is, how much can I provide? And I don't believe anybody rides for free in this world, and you got to pay your way in order to keep getting your way. And with that said, it's value add that has to be examined, because in a way, I like to be a bigger tipper, especially to the people around me, right? A lot of people do their fair share or their responsible share. But after that's over, would you like to leave a tip for the person too? Right? What in addition to what's expected do you provide? And that pays your rent for that person, just to make sure, every day, and vice versa. And to your point, it models that, to say, if someone gave me better than full measure, then maybe I'm inclined to let some more go next time. Be more patient, do something special that I wanted to do but didn't think it was justified. So, you get value by providing value, and you provide value by figuring out how to create the most value in the most comfortable way. So many people look at providing value and giving as a sacrifice, as a time suck, however you view it, versus, hey, I can create gifts that I can share with people that can make a big difference in not only them, but the people that they relate to. Because to Christine's point earlier, it is who you hang out with, good and bad. There's a lot of companies that are strictly political and bureaucratic, and they don't want you to be an individual. They want you to back the line, stay the course. And that's not fair, right? That's not providing value. That's restricting value, especially as you relate it to the other person. It's easy to say more is better than less for yourself, at the beginning. But is that going to be something that circulates back to you? Is that going to be your legacy? A taker, instead of a giver? A person who wanted to make more for more people, and really at the end of the day did the best they can and had value. And I think that's what it all comes down to. So let's go through some more comments, because they're coming in fast and furious. And there is so little separation between the stage and the audience, because we want to be as inclusive and participate with you. Paul says, I look at value as the ability to enhance someone's life, and there's definitely a big part of worth in there as well. It may sound you know, strange, but I've lived a pretty successful life, and I found investing in people, investing in yourself, investing in the future before anybody else will, gives you a tremendous head start, and that's enough to get you on your way long enough to learn what you need to do. If you're a monkey and people need a fish, you're not going to feel valued. You're just not in the right community. You're a perfectly fine monkey, but you can't live in the water, Roxanne. And that's true. And I think that goes back to value yourself. Yesterday's word was authentic, right? Value being authentic, value being proud. You can incorporate these intangibles into your everyday life, just like you change your wardrobe, right? You can decide. I mean, me and Harvey were talking about James Bond before we got on, and those are a lot of books behind Harvey is Ian Fleming, who wrote the James Bond series, and all the changes, all the transformations that had to take place in a movie like that. So, Harvey, what do you say to all these comments and these wonderful people?
Yeah, absolutely. You picked up there on something that Paul said, which I wrote down. The value is having the ability to enhance somebody else's life, and that really resonated. And I completely agree with that. And when you were saying there, Don, about how you had a relatively successful life, and when you realized that it was about sort of valuing other people, valuing the future, I connected with somebody the other day, and the reason I connected with them, and I just saw this, the reason I connected with them is they had on their tagline under their name a quote from Gandhi, and I really liked it, and I'm going to read it. It says, "You find yourself when you lose yourself in the service of others." And that was Gandhi who said that. And I can really resonate with that, because you get to a certain point, whatever that age is in your life, and I feel I've got to this point where I've started to really find a direction. I've always loved helping people, but when I've completely let myself go to that as the thing that I want to do, and that's exactly what I've done, I'm starting to really find my direction. My direction is helping other people. Everything else will, I believe, fall into place when you start focusing on other people and providing value and helping other people. And, I think when you start to do that, you'll find that it comes back to you as well, and value then comes all the way around in a full circle. I was just having a look at a few of the comments there, actually. My goodness, they're flying by. There's loads of comments, loads of great comments today as well. There's one here. It says, "I appreciate honesty as a value." And that I think that's a really good point, actually. I think honesty is an excellent value. And sometimes when you talk about values, or especially when companies talk about their company values, it can just be some words written down on a piece of paper. And really good companies, just as really good people, really live their values. What is a value to them? And to take, again, when you said that value had all these different meanings, I really like there what Dean's saying, and that value, when you pluralize it, when it's values, they can be all sorts of different things that are important to you. And honesty, absolutely. I haven't got a good enough memory not to be honest. So I'm always just honest, because I wouldn't be able to remember if I said something that wasn't true. So, and I think in being honest, you're also being vulnerable. And I think if you show vulnerability, it's people can relate to it, because it allows them to open up. I think this platform is amazing because you can get to know. I said to somebody that it felt like I'd known them for years. It's my friend Van, actually, and I've known him for 3 months. And I think because this platform allows you to open up, to be honest, to show vulnerability. And then people think, well, actually, I can do that as well. And then you're going to get to know them a little bit better, and you're going to take value from that, and they're going to take value from you being honest or sharing a story, or seeing a little bit more of how you value your own life. Somebody said, and I'm trying to remember who said it actually, but someone was saying that the first place you need to start is by valuing yourself. And I thought that was a great comment. I think that as much as my focus is on what value I give other people, you do need to have value in yourself as well. Otherwise, you won't portray or reflect out the value you're going to give other people. Paul's just helped me out. It was Andrea. Thank you, Paul. See, we're all one wonderful community here, and it feels like we're all on the screen together. That's how it feels to me. I get so much value of seeing all these comments coming through. But yeah, some fantastic comments.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the beauty of this show, is the audience feels comfortable in interacting, responding, and adding more value to what we're saying. So we're kind of a starter, and they can then load up their thoughts, their ideas. And with value, it's what you put value on. And some people put value on bigger, better, more expensive. And my most valuable possessions are some of my keepsakes. A salt and pepper shaker my mother always had on the table. Pictures, because those don't require income. Those don't require status. And if you focus on valuing yourself, valuing what you have, and that's, really adopting an attitude of gratitude in order to bring value, where you're counting your blessings more than what you don't have or what somebody does have, because then you're going off on a trail that will lead you astray. If you start focusing on other people and what they have and what you don't have or what you should have, you're dealing with the past, and value is what is the value today, and maybe what is the value tomorrow. And with value comes pride. If you think you're highly valuable, you're proud of yourself, people around you become proud of you. You start changing conversations just because of now redirecting where you want to be, and now people being happy to see you, right? Because they know the person you were and what that person did. Now you become a new person, and now you can do new things because people have opened doors and windows to you and allowed you to pick and choose what can work best. And I think that's the key to this platform, is we're picking up a piece here every day. And if you do this every day with 40, 50 people who really care for you, I see when people aren't doing well, people reach out to them just to check in on them. And to Harvey's point, there's people I met in the last week or two that I feel I've known all my life, right? Because they align with it. The other noticeable element that I've been able to appreciate is when you have more to give than you can give, you start hoping other people come and find a way of receiving it. And there's so few of those people that you become dependent on anything and anybody that gives you some glimmer of hope. But if you're already situated with 40 or 50 people, you could dive in. I mean, I was visiting Leslie's Think and Grow Rich before this. Gretchen has her flight attendant. Paul has his impossible equals I'm possible. Trevor has his Saturday show. Melissa has her Monday show. There's no end to this, and I would just continue to change blocks because in essence, I look at this as a curriculum, right? If you're going to a university, would you take one class or would you fill your schedule, especially if it was no cost? Right? If you can get into Oxford and they said, choose all the classes, all the professors, and it's free, what would you do? If you really were into what it is they have, you dive in. And that's what I would say. Immerse yourself, get busy. And the only way to get busy is say hello to people. That's the easiest way. Let me share. Got a new name here. Gene, I hope that's right. However you treat others like you treat yourself. It doesn't matter who goes first. It just matters that it continues, right? If you can give a load of something and get something back, that's a starter, right? Then you give something and it keeps reciprocating. And you might have to overcome distrust. You might have to overcome people who take a little longer to get to know you and trust you. But if you can build firm, long-term relationships with just 4 or 5 people here, their networks with you, with your ideas, with their ideas, how much is better is that than 900 million people are sitting alone in front of a computer saying, what do I post tomorrow that I'll get 6 views on? Here's Nicole. Nicole was on the show. Unbelievable story. International #1 best-selling author. It never would have happened a year ago. And just because of a tragedy that created the opportunity to write. Lillian, here's Shamir. I'm bad with names. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Let's see, here's something from Nicole. What a waste of time and energy to be scoping out what someone else has. Invest that time in leveling yourself up so you have more. So profound, so right. And you know what? It's easier not to do things than to do things. So if you can take something off of your list or a priority that doesn't serve you away, now you're going to level up by having more time and attention to what does serve you. Just like a fuse box, sometimes you got to look for the fuse that flipped in order to turn the light back on. And I think it's the same thing as examine, reevaluate, and redirect. What's your thoughts, Harvey? Well, here's one from Paul. I'm going to be honest, since I go to many lives, most people don't understand how valuable their platform is. I love the show because we talk about real things. People are vulnerable. There's always impact here, every room. Well, Paul, you hit it right on the nose because, I see there's a sense of urgency. Let's get something done today. Let's put ourselves in motion. Let's get some collaboration going. Just last night, Roxanne and Christine will be coming on the 21st. There's so many people who have brought so much to the show. And now it's let's go to work. Let's decide what do we all need. Share it, right? And see if someone's got something to help you. And if nothing else, maybe support, maybe advice. But what you'll probably find is a referral. I don't know what it is, but I know somebody I trust to at least introduce you, right? And that's all we're doing is introducing each other to things. No one's saying you have to buy it. No one says, I feel bad if you don't accept it, as long as you don't feel bad when I don't accept things that aren't aligned at my time right now. And start passing it out. If someone gave you a hunk of $100 bills and says you got till midnight to give it away, you wouldn't put it down and watch a movie, I wouldn't think. So what's your thoughts to all this stuff, Harvey? Great reception.
Oh, absolutely. And my goodness, I've been scribbling down a lot, so I've got to try and read my own writing here. But some great points, actually. I think Roxanne was saying and touched on what you said about keepsakes and little things that have value. And you know what, before this show, I didn't really think of value as how much an item or something that was special was worth. But it's really interesting because Roxanne was saying about the fact that she had some Christmas tree decorations that were special and they had value and they were priceless. And I think that's really interesting. You were talking about some keepsakes. This wasn't actually going to be my prop today, but I've got a little prop here. Everyone loves a prop now. But this crystal here, okay, my mum collects crystals. And my mum believes that whenever anyone comes round, that they should have an option to choose a crystal. And she thinks they will choose them. And she asked me to pick one that I thought was special. And I chose this one. And I'm going to share with you that whenever I have a tough decision to make, I put this little crystal on the paper of the decision I've got to make. And I feel it helps me. And it has value. But the point I was trying to make about bringing up an actual object into value, that the reason that these special little things have value to us is they have value beyond what they are. And I think that's what's relevant about using objects to describe what value is. Value is bringing something more than what it perhaps obviously could be. And, that's what everyone here is doing. It's about bringing that additional value. It's great to see Gene Van Horn, Van as I call him as well. But, he said there to treat others like you would treat yourself. And I think that's a really relevant thing. And it sort of ties back into, to valuing yourself, to then be able to value other people, and if people aren't used to wanting to give value away, if they're always looking for value themselves, if they're not used to that, then I think that expression right there is a really good place to start. What Gandhi said there, and I go back to it, but, when you start helping others, that's where you'll find yourself. If you use Van's expression there as a starting block to just think, how would I like to be treated? I think that's a great takeaway. That's a great thing to think, okay, well, look, if I've got to start to change the way I'm acting to either improve my life, that's a great way to do it, because by helping other people, you will, it's the place to start. Then people help you, and you see people helping you, and the whole process accelerates. If you do someone a good deed, I'd forgotten about this story actually, and it's just reminded me of a story. I was on the way home from Brighton, and the train had a problem. Everyone had to get off the train and wait an hour and a half for a bus. Now, I was about 45 minutes away from home, so I ordered a taxi. And I got into the taxi, but before I got into the taxi, as I was waiting, I heard a young couple talking about the fact that they needed to get home. They had a baby with them, so on and so forth. So I said to them, "Look, come in, share the taxi. Where are you going?" They were going my way. It wasn't any heartache for me, but they really appreciated it. And at the end, they asked me if I needed any money for it. I said, "No, I don't at all." But I said, "I'll tell you what, just pass on the good deed." I said, if you get a chance, do something nice for someone else. That's all you need to do. And I think if everyone had the same attitude of, doing something that gives value to someone else and just said, look, just do the same, we would have millions of people doing one little thing for somebody else, which is a lot of little things. So, yeah, absolutely. Some fantastic things being said as well. So.
Yeah, and I think to follow on that is when you value yourself enough, and honestly, you say to yourself, I have everything I need for today, then you everything else can be given away. And too many people are worried about the future, save for a date that may never show up, when they could have been generating more value to more people who, again, with the law of abundance and circulation, will all come back to you in one way, shape, or another. And whatever you have, put it into motion, invest in it, and especially invest in communicating, taking advantage of a platform like this, because even the comments, you may seem to think that the people on the show see what you read, and they do. But there's so many more people that will see it that you'll never know and could benefit, but may remember where it came from. It only takes one person, one thing can change everybody's life forever, good or bad, and be open to that, but also do everything you can to generate the visibility and accessibility of you to it. Clear the road, be ready to receive. Paul says, what a beautiful story about the crystal, Harvey. I didn't realize how valuable pictures were, and I just liked taking pictures up until about the past 2 or 3 years when I realized you don't know how valuable a moment it is until it becomes a memory. So true, Paul, because, just like those salt and pepper shakers, they do their job, right? They'll dispense salt and pepper, but when they do it, they bring back other memories with it that bring more value to the salt and pepper than just a taste. It's the experience. When people can get away from needing to deserving, to valuing themselves, like I say, Paul's very familiar with Agmandino, and before he gave his presentation or during it, he wanted to demonstrate how everybody was a millionaire in the audience. And because only when he asked the question directly did 3 or 4 hands come up. And when he said, who would give their eyes for $1 million here, or their ears, or their legs? I mean, just go on and on and on. How rich could you be relative to what kind of cars in the driveway? And that's where I see people are going materialistic when they should go self-empowerment, right? Invest the money, invest the time in themselves. Everything else will come with time on its own. So, here we have a comment from Paul that says, okay. And actually, Cindy says to you, Harvey, I love crystals. I have a huge collection. What kind is that? I love your mom already.
Do you know what? I'm going to have to find out what kind it is, because my mum's an expert on crystals and I'm not, but I just loved it when I saw it. And she said, do you want to know what it is? And I said, well, I was just drawn to it. There was something that drew me to it, or to the crystal to me, my mum believes, but it's special to me and I must find out what it is. It actually, to me, looks like a Fox's Glacier Mint, but probably no one will know what those are. Maybe Matt. I think there might have been a UK thing when I was young. But it was really interesting. You picked up Paul's comment there about not realizing how valuable a moment is until it becomes a memory. I thought that was a lovely thing to say, and a really interesting thing to say. When you look at old photos, my dad died 13 years ago now. And, I've been gradually trying to sort through all the different things so that my children don't have to do it in many years' time. But in looking through those photos and remembering those moments, that those photos do capture that. So often I think value can be attributed to things with hindsight. And I think that's the problem that we have. If we're looking after people, and if we're trying to give value of the moment, right here, everyone is giving everybody else value right here, right now. And I think everybody is realizing how valuable this is. I think when you look back on a photo of a moment and you realize how valuable it was, then that's the mistake you're making. If you realize how valuable something is and how valuable something will be, I think that's probably a really good takeaway. It's easy to remember something and think how valuable that was. But if you just change the tense and make it the present and make it the future, you can get a lot more out of things, I think. I wanted to say hello to Hamza. Hamza's one of the people that's on the on my post on a Sunday, so nice to see him here. And Matt's a great supporter. Matt Smith, he's making a few comments here. Lovely chap in the UK here, and he's always so supportive of the posts that I do on the Sunday. He always gives people really good value by helping, and he's not part of that post. It's interesting. Oh, it's good to see what he said here. Yeah. So, I mean, he's talking about adding value to, the different roles that he's had in his life. And I think absolutely, when you start a new job, that's exactly what you're looking to try and do, to add value for your employer. And I think people are used to that that they're used to having to add value in their working life. But if they choose to add value in all aspects of their life, then some amazing things start to happen. Christy also talked about a journal, but if you can bring up Christy's,
okay, sure.
it flew by, and I was really interested to see what that said. Yes, there you go. So I found an old journal from a dozen years ago. It was supposed to start a master's program, but I got pregnant with twins. Anyway, it was something I wanted to do because I love school. I had to delay. Anyway, 12 years later. Well, look, yeah, I love that, finding a journal, and a journal does have value because it's telling a story. I think as long as you get something like that and you can apply it to helping someone now or helping someone in the future, it's great. I mean, I always write down what people are saying in my book here, and it's interesting to go back and look at that, because that's giving me some value. Everything that's coming up here in the comments it's the value I get. It's why I'm here, the community that's here, and what everybody's saying. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, and it just, because it happens now every day, and it gets more powerful because now we're getting more specific. Now we're getting into defining a definition of like value and what it means. And, if you can redirect thought in a positive direction with community and support, the changes are significant enough, because most people are pretty good except for maybe a couple areas. It's not a whole redo, right? It's just optimizing some areas that may not be as effective and showing value, giving value, but also applauding and celebrating other people's value. Some people don't know until they're told. I mean, sometimes you just got to ask, because why do you want to wonder how they felt or what they felt about the value you placed on them? And there's no problem with having a compliment or giving a compliment. I once heard a speaker, and what they said that I kept with me is, so many people, like when you leave an airplane, you might just say thank you to the pilot or whoever, the flight attendant. But they said, why don't you add for something? Thank you for a nice, safe flight. Thank you for this. It's just 2 or 3 more words, but now it's meaningful because you pointed out something that they really wouldn't have known until you shared it. And now you've created more value for them because you invested in them another couple seconds, a few more words, but more importantly, you were thoughtful. Thank you for being so kind. Thank you for being generous. I mean, even if it's somebody, a cashier, and they go through, I had retail stores, they go through a lot every day. That one person who says, I just wanted to tell you how you make me feel better when I come in here, or something like that. It doesn't cost much, and they probably do. but you either feel probably rushed or maybe they'll take it the wrong way. And if you think that, then mild it down more, say it's a great day. Hope you have a wonderful time here, whatever, you're adding value, you're spreading more on the bread than most, and everybody likes a nice portion. You ever go to an ice cream place and they give you a humongous scoop? It might cost you $10, but you're amazed that that's how much you got, and it's those things that if you can generate the wow factor, like that's amazing. I never thought that would happen. No one ever did that for me. No one ever said that to me. Why not be that person? If the person's waiting and deserving and you can do it. And I think that's the key, is how do you fill more in with more people in a way that's comfortable for everybody and is sustainable. Hamza's, thank you very much. We've got an individual, don't quite understand that. Hello, here's Olu, who's always been a great benefit. He's been okay. Thanks for asking. Paul comes back. Paul's very insightful. Many job seekers have reached out to me lately, and I'm not a career coach. I ask all of them the same things. Have you shared your story? Have you shared why you're here or what you're looking? Have you made a video to boost authenticity? Harvey, I think you're more than qualified to address that.
Absolutely. And it's interesting you picked that one out, because that was one of the ones that I'd written down, actually. I think that's, we talk about takeaways, and Paul, that's a fantastic takeaway, for someone to share their story, because when you share your story and when you're showing vulnerability and you're showing who you really are, an employer is getting more than a CV or a resume. They're getting to understand who you really are. And I think it's really important. You're adding value to yourself by sharing your story. You're adding value to yourself, and it goes back to what a lot of people have been saying here today. I also, Cynthia made a great point, that she made a point about meeting a person that you're drawn to, and I liked that. When we talk about making connections and building a community, it adds value to ourselves and other people if we build a community of relatively like-minded people, but also, invite some people that are perhaps slightly outside of that. But I think I really resonate with the fact that you're drawn to something. I was drawn to this little crystal in the same way that I'm absolutely drawn to people here, and there's so many good people within this community that I'm instantly drawn to, and almost without question. And I think if you see someone, you're drawn to them, make a connection to them. I was drawn to this chap because he put a quote about Gandhi. It drew me straight in, and I thought that was a great point. Kim made a nice point as well. Kim, and it was a sad story, but she spoke of a family photo that was taken. And it was taken, sadly, involving someone who passed away. But I think it's a great example of the fact that, you took the effort to take that photo of that moment. You didn't delay taking that photo or say, oh, maybe we'll get together another time and take it. And I think it's a good example of putting value to the present, saying, let's grab this moment and take that photo. And, I'm really sorry for the loss, but a great example of valuing time. A few people have said that, I think Dean said, value is time spent listening and understanding. And I think valuing listening, You know, I'm trying my best to read, you know, in the same way as I'm listening, because I'm getting value from everything that people are saying. But someone once told me, we have two of these and one of these, and we should use them in that order. And I think that was always, it was said to me when I had one of my first sales jobs, but I think it's also a really good thing to apply in life. You know, if I just came on today and just spoke and talked rather than listened and looked at these wonderful things that are coming in, I wouldn't give value and I wouldn't get value, you know. So I really like that, Dean, that it's time spent listening and understanding. Brilliant.
Well, and I guess time spent anywhere for the right intention and purpose and for learning, because you're right. If someone comes just to give without asking, without knowing, without listening, it's a shot in the dark, you know. And not only that, but it took 50 people's time to realize that. You know, like I say, you have to earn everything, and sometimes you have to overpay to get what you shouldn't have to overpay for. But you know, whatever the cost, you have the capability of achieving it with the community that supports you, because your vision is based on the reflection that other people have of you, right? You tell a joke, if everybody laughs, you think it's funny and you like your audience. And it depends on what joke you tell and what audience you tell it to that will get you either their acceptance or their disapproval. And, you know, you should never have to face something that absolute in the beginning, right? If you're building long term, you just have to get a foothold and then realize where you are, who you're with, and how you can best contribute. Too many people look to join something to get instead of finding the prime group to give it to, you know, and give it to people the way they want it, how they, you know, and in the time frame they want it. You know, too many people are pushy, you know, salesy, you know, pressury, whatever it is, versus getting comfortable. And, you know, once someone tells you their story, believe it, you know, and work with it the best you can or not. So Harvey, coming up on 52 minutes, been a unbelievable interactions, and you know, it makes it so much easier to do these when you're with everyone and it flows together versus having the responsibility of carrying the show. You know, so in a way, it's like being at the beach and having a beach ball, and the sooner you get it, the sooner you get rid of it, so other people can play and have fun. So, quite a an evolution.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, today, because it was just the two of us today, and my lovely co-host Christy was traveling, I was a little nervous, but I absolutely shouldn't be. And I'll tell you why. It's because we've got all these co-hosts here, and you know, it's these people that are driving the show, and it's these people, these wonderful people here that are giving all of these comments that are giving me such value. So yeah, absolutely love it. I think, in sort of summary of today, I think if people listen, if they take the time to listen, take the time to understand other people, I think if they value time, I think if they value the present, if they value the future, I think you should value your friends. And I really like what you said about just saying thank you. If the one takeaway someone had today was to say thank you to someone, you know, you said about somebody in a store, you know, my wife worked in a doctor's surgery, and she has to deal with a lot of sort of irate people. But occasionally someone will say, thank you so much. You did such a wonderful job in caring for me. I really appreciate it. And it means so much. She feels so valued when somebody takes the time to say those two words. So I think if anyone could have any takeaway at all from today, it's to just say thank you to someone and let them know they're appreciated.
Yeah, I think that's so valuable, and it's so simple to do. And what's easy to do is easy not to do. And it's really about commitment and having the value of what you do be felt. If you create all this value and you don't distribute it, it's like baking cookies for 10 people and you only have one person who's going to eat them. So why not match what you create to what you distribute? And the joy of people getting something that they weren't expecting, didn't even know you knew them that well. And here's the thing, what becomes a big deal for them becomes a smaller deal for you the more you do it, right? When it becomes easy to do and it's difficult for other people, that's where the wow comes in, and I think it's just the act of giving, taking the time out. It could be a small thing. I mean, people pick up a flower as they're walking and give it to somebody. It doesn't have to be a major event. It just, should be spontaneous, should be impulsive. It should be, hey, that idea just popped into my head. You better do it before you lose it. They say you have 5 seconds to act on an idea or it doesn't get acted on. So let's just get a couple comments here. The smallest words of kindness and appreciation are game changers for creators. We tend to overcomplicate how hard it is to add value and be an asset to someone else. That's so true. And here's the thing. If you do something more than enough, you don't worry about one day, one post, one LinkedIn Live. And, at the end of the day, if everybody's being who they are, that's exactly what it is. And you don't want everybody the same. Nobody learns from the same. You just see more of what you have seen. So by having contrast and testing your value of valuing others, right? Of not judging others, of not already supposing something, and allow your ears to hear, before they get blocked or discouraged. And I think that's so key. Little things, thank you, you're welcome, please, ask for permission. It's always better than trying to ask for forgiveness, and most people go the other direction. So with that said, Harvey, I want to thank all the people. Here's a new name, Jeff. I haven't seen you. Powerful commentary, gentlemen, immeasurable value. Well, we're here every day, and it's getting better in so many ways. And that's what is so great about value, that continues to increase on its own. It's like a snowball going down a hill. You can't stop it at a certain point. And I think the people here are voting with their comments as far as their takeaways, because now people are asking for things. They're not just saying, here's who I am. They're saying, tell me what that crystal is. Tell me who that is. And, it sparks everybody's curiosity and imagination. And, some takeaways are universal. Somebody could say something and everybody got the benefit. Everybody remembers that. And, it's almost like adjusting something. You get something new, and before you know it, it gets a little older, and then things start getting a little wobbly, and you got to go in and tighten everything up again. And I think that's the same thing here, is tighten yourself up, get ready. And, the thing that goes with value is be a player. I mean, we started off talking about James Bond, and I guess that's the ultimate everything for everything, whether it's cars, whether it's gambling, whatever it is. But he is definitely in play every minute. There's never a dull moment, right? There can't be in a movie like that. And I'm saying, why should you ever have a dull moment in your life? Why not be a 007 on LinkedIn? Look for adventure, deal with adversity. They say if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much room. And it's more fun when you're there, especially when it's just a virtual edge. And also, you've got such a safety net, knowing so many of these people are here with you, for you, and you're with them. And I believe Paul was right earlier. You're only as rich as the people that want, care, and love you. And when you have enough of those, you'll never be without, because people will make sure, if you're the kind of person that they really believe in and support, they want you around. They want you healthy, and a lot of people are already at the top in certain ways, but they need help in other ways. And together, that's where the value comes in. So we'll have to close it up. I'll just, Kim says, a beautiful meal includes various dishes, not just a main dish. People are much the same. We all bring flavor and add value or perception. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I like that. I like the analogy of using a meal. We're all ingredients that are adding value. When we come together, it creates a wonderful thing. So absolutely, I think that's a great statement.
Well, with that said, we'll stop with a great statement. I want to thank Harvey so much. Did a magnificent job of being one-on-one today with everyone. And it's a different format, but it also is different for the audience. And I like to mix it up, like to get more variations. Talked to Dean the other day, had a fantastic conversation, looking to have him come on. He's got an unbelievable story. And that's what we should celebrate, the value of everybody's story, their ability to share it, and their ability to come back believing more and being happier with their story, because so many people validated it with them. So with that said, rest up. 23 hours from now, let me share really quick. Tomorrow, we're going to have, let me see. Okay. Constance Leyland, new person. If you haven't met her, she's fantastic. She's got her own shows. Sarah's going to be here on Sunday, Sarah Dawkins. Leslie's going to be here on Monday, and Andrea's Tuesday. Brett Packard is Wednesday. Kelly and Kelly's nephew, an incredible young man, Blake, will be here Thursday. So we got a big week, and then Harvey's back next week with Lillian. So anyways, thank you so much. I mean, I can't tell you how gratifying and wonderful you all are, and how much this means to me and so many other people every day. So I'll say thank you for all you do. Take care. Bye for now.